Hello once again. So I had previously done another video based on AutoHotkeys being used with Excel files. So I'm going to kind of extend on that in two ways. The first one is going to be me showing you how to grab data, where in the last video I showed you how to input data. A lot of people also in my last video kind of were asking, hey, when I grab this data, what do I do with it then? And so I'm going to try to use a real world example in this video to show you that, along with kind of a different way to do it. That way you have some options for how you want to grab data, insert data, and also maybe manipulate the Excel file a little bit. I'll use highlighting for an example in this one. So let's go ahead and look at the first part of the code we got here. All right, so let's jump into this code here. So right away, I'm just going to start with set title match to 2. And that's just because I have a WinActivate down here, and I'm just going to have it look up Excel versus having to put the entire Excel file name there. I'm going to press F1 as my hotkey, and it's going to push Control-C, copy. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to grab data from a file and just have it put over in Excel. Another thing you could do, which I have commented out right here in these two lines, is you could do a file read and have it grab it from the data there. But I'm going to do the Control-C way, just so you can see a little better of what's going on. But either one is good for you. I'm then going to do a RegExMatch with my clipboard, since I'm using Control-C. If I was using the variable down here, I just went ahead and put the variable into the clipboard. You could get rid of this line and just put the output variable here instead of clipboard. It's really up to you. So on this one, I'm looking for an entire sentence. I'm going to highlight, it's going to put it in the clipboard, and it's going to look for the date, which is going to be between the words on and a period. And you'll see a little bit better of that. But it's going to grab that middle section between on and period. I then got StringReplace just because I want to get rid of that on and period, because it does grab that information too. So I'm just going to clean up that a little bit. Now down here, the first thing we need to do is we need to connect to Excel through the comms. So I'm just using the XL functions is going to be ComObjCreate to Xl.Application. And that's just going to connect us there so AutoHotkey can start, sending data and whatnot to it. Visible is going to equal true. This could be used as false if you just don't even want to see the Excel file. You want it kind of to run in the background, but I'm going to make it so it's not invisible just because, for a video, it's easier for you guys to see what's going on. So the first thing I want to do in this new Excel file is I kind of want to set some titles. So I'm going to make A1 say date, B1 say complete it, and C1 date done. And that's just going to autofill that text into those cells right there. And that's just range, whatever cell you want. Value is going to now equal whatever text you want. You can put a variable here too if you want. But I'm just going to hard code it in. So the next line, range A1 through C1. I just want that interior color to equal, and this is red. So you can Google what color you want for the RGB hex number that you can get there. But I'm just going to do red for everything on this one, make it simple. And that's just going to highlight it for me. So the next thing I want to do is I want to find the next empty cell. It's going to create a loop. It's going to do Control-C, which will grab whatever's in that cell and save it to the clipboard. And then I got a modifier timeout here at 100 milliseconds. This is something that you should probably, for the most part, always put after anything you're using that's a modifier key. So right here I'm using Control. But if you're doing like Alt, Caps Lock, Shift, that kind of stuff, put this after. AutoHotkey has a bit of a problem sometimes where it'll press that Control key, but then for some reason it just does not release it. And this is kind of a safety net to make sure that it does get released, because on the next loop, this could cause problems. I'm going to sleep for 500 milliseconds there, give the clipboard a second, StringReplace, and that's just going to get rid of a line break. So a weird thing with Excel is even though the cell might be blank, there's actually a line break in there. So I just want to get rid of that. That way the clipboard can be 100% empty for this if right here. So if blank, meaning that it's reached the next empty cell, I want to go ahead and insert that data for that variable datesave, which is up here from that RegExMatch and StringReplaces. Once that's done, it's going to press enter, and that's just basically confirming that you're done in that cell and that data is, switch out of edit mode basically. That will also move it down to the next line, but I want to stay on that line, so I'm just sending it up just so that it's still there, but it's submitted. And then go ahead and break because the data's already been inputted. Now, if that cell actually did have data on it, instead of the clipboard being empty, it has something in there, it's going to do the else, and it's going to send down and then start the loop over by checking that cell to see if it's empty or not. So it's basically kind of just notching down, checking each cell until it actually hits a blank one. You can do this in a lot of other ways, especially with comms. I'm trying to make these, beginner videos as simple as possible. That really helps you to show you how the navigation's working. So once I put the data in, we can do a few other things here. So what I'm doing here in these few lines is I'm getting the row of the active cell. So basically wherever this loop stopped, and it's going to get the key codes for that, and basically selected cells it's a variable that's saying, okay, column 1 row, whatever row I'm in, to column 2, whatever row I am. And then right here where it has the select, that's basically going to highlight whatever I have there. So you can adjust the columns. If you wanted to highlight, 10 columns versus maybe just 3 columns like I'm going to do, it's whatever. And that's just Xl active sheet dot range in parentheses here selected cells, which is the information I got up here, which this information got from up here, and just select those. And then I'm going to have it change it to the color red. And that's the exact same line we saw up here. But I'm doing it now onto the new cell that I just created with the new data. Once again, I'm going to send down and then up again. So sending down just confirms to go back to just being selected on one cell versus 3, and then up just so that we're back where we started. It's a weird way to do it, but it gets the job done. And then just to show you kind of that, I'm going to do y as the variable, ComObjActive or ObjectActive, Excel.Application, active cell, row. That's just going to grab what row number I'm in, and I'm going to have it display as a message box with that variable, just so you guys can see that. Now there's a few other little things I have down here that you can kind of play with, but I just want to show you them. I'm not going to really use them in this code, but they're there for you guys if you want to play with them. And like always, all this code will be in the description below. So the first one is just a save. That way, if you want to save the Excel document, you can have it automatically save when you're done. I'm not going to do that here because I don't really need to save it. And then we got a few other lines here that do a few things. We got the insert here. That just inserts a new row at the position 6, as you see there. Obviously, you change the 6 to whatever row you want it to be added to. Row delete, that's just going to delete a row. And there's 2 ways of doing this. You can have it by a variety there. Basically, delete row 4 through, well, let's change that. Delete row 4 through 7. Or I can do just specific rows. Delete row 10, delete row 20. Or, like I have it here, you can have it do a whole bunch of stuff at once. That way you don't have to make a much row delete line saying, okay, delete, 5, 6, and 7. You can have it on one line, 5, 6, 7 instead. Way easier, less code. Always go with that way. Row height, this is just so you can adjust heights if you want in the cells. You're basically saying, like here, adjust row 1 through 5 to the height of 30, and then also adjust row 6 through 10 to the height of 60. So that's where these really are where you're going to be playing with, is in the parentheses. Last one is selection interior pattern 1. A pattern is just kind of I don't really know how to explain it, but it kind of adds a grid or some type of design within those cells. it's not the same as highlighting. It's more kind of like blocking out a section to make it just more defined, I guess. Borders is a great way to explain it. It's a great way to make borders within, like, around your data in sections there. So those you can play with. I'm not really going to run those through that script here. I'm just going to try to keep it simple up here. Pretty much it for that one. So let's go ahead and try to see that one in action here. I'm going to pause real quick and switch over there. All right, here we go. So I got the blank Excel file here that I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and just put it up here in the starting position. You know, if you want it to be in different spots, it's all about where you want it. I'm just going to start at A1 there. I'm going to go ahead and press F1. Yep. Why did it just open a new document there? Let's try that again. Shall we? You know what? I know why that didn't work. Because I forgot to highlight the text. There we go. So basically, here's the data I'm kind of looking at in a file here. Basically, the formatting is always going to be the same for me. Let's say order found on the date in that period. So remember in those string replaces and the RegExMatch, I was looking for the on and the period and grab what's in between. I basically just want the date. But I'm going to highlight the entire sentence. I'm going to go ahead, press F1. And there we go. So what just happened there? Just running back down. It automatically put that date, complete, date done up there at the top. Highlight it red. Move down to the next column. 12/01/2020. And then there's that little message box just showing me that I'm currently on row 2. So if I want, I can then go ahead, grab another date. Let's grab this one. Press F1 again. It's going to move down, find the next empty cell. And there we go. Now I'm on row 3, and I highlighted it. Now I can just keep going as long as I want. There we go. Now, if I had wanted to, I could have created a loop where I could highlight all this and then have it just kind of do an array there. But I haven't really talked about arrays too much, so I'm just kind of showing you a very simple breakdown of that and how that works. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next thing we got going on there. All right, switch back. There we go. So this is actually a request that came from one of my subscribers. I can't remember his username at the moment, but shout out to you. Thank you for the idea. Basically, what we're going to do with this script is we're going to take a already existing Excel file, grab a bunch of data from it, and then have it actually automatically open Outlook, create a new email, and then input the data into the email in a template format, basically. Just kind of auto-filling the blanks with the information of where we want it to be. So once again, starting out with set title match mode 2, just because I do have a WinActivate in here for just plain out Outlook. F1 is going to be my hotkey there. I'm going to start my count at 0 for the variable, which we'll see here in a second. And once again, we got this ComObjActive Xl.Application, just so we can connect to it. And then active sheet cell, I can't talk today. Active sheet, range B1, select. And that's basically saying that I want to start gathering information from the B1 column, because I want to slowly kind of loop down, grabbing the information one by one there. And here's where the loop starts. So once again, we're just going to do Control-C, grab that cell's data. Got that modifier timeout there, just because I'm using that control there. I don't want it to get stuck down by accident. We're going to sleep for half a second, or 500 milliseconds. String replace, once again, we're getting rid of that line break, which is just the tilde R tilde in. And that just is a line break. You'll probably see that kind of pop up a lot with that kind of stuff. And if you don't know what the tilde key is, it's the key above your tab key, and you just got to push shift and hit that. It has like a little squiggly with a dot under it. So if the clipboard is blank, meaning we reached the end of all the information we're trying to gather, go ahead and break. If not, meaning there is data actually in that cell, we're going to go ahead and increase the count to 1 from that 0 up here. And then we're going to save it as data point in that count, so whatever's in the clipboard. So it'll be data point 1 equals whatever's in the clipboard. On the next loop, data point 2 equals whatever's in the clipboard. This is kind of a weird way to do an array, but it's super simple. And then we're going to send down because we want to go ahead at the beginning of the loop, start looking at what's next in the next cell. So once we break, we got all the data. We're going to go ahead and WinActivate Outlook. So it's automatically going to put it forward. With this, you do need to have Outlook running. If you don't, you can switch this out with a run Outlook.exe command, which I've talked about in previous videos. But I'm just assuming that we already have Outlook running. So I put a bunch of sleeps in here for half a second, just in case there's some sort of weird lag. I want to make sure it doesn't mess up. And you can always adjust these sleeps or get rid of them if you have a really nice computer that you're not worried about lag on. But for me, with currently recording, having a camcorder, a powerful mic going, and all this stuff, the sleeps definitely, I think, need to be there for me at least. So in Outlook, when you open a new email with Control in here, it's going to open that email and your cursor is automatically going to be in the to field. So I'm going to go ahead and send tab down 2 times, and that's going to get me to the subject line. Depending on what you're using, I mean, for the most part, I think most email clients like Outlook are all pretty much the same style. But just in case there's some other weird way of where your cursor starts or something, you might just have to play with the tabs a little bit of how many times they're going off. So I'm going to assign clipboard for your info. That's just my subject line, and then Control V. Something as short as this, instead of having to go to the clipboard and then Control V, I could just have it go type out send for your info. But doing this way, it's faster. If you do a send in a sentence, it basically mimics you typing it out versus Control V, which is an instant paste. For little short sentences like this, it doesn't really matter too much which one you're going to use. But as you'll see here in a second, I have a pretty big send that's coming up where I definitely want to do the Control V versus having it type out a full paragraph. Because then I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for the lines to just... I mean, it's fast, but this way's faster. So once the subject's line's there, I'm going to tab down one more time, and now I'm in the body. The cursor's in the body of the email. So I got my clipboard here, and I'm assigning all this data. So like you said, or I said, not you. This is why I want to do it this way, and then send Control V here. So this is just kind of a template I got from the user, something kind of he's doing. I thought this was a really cool thing to kind of cover on. And as you see, I got all those different things. So I got data point 1, I know I want it here. Data point 2, I know it went there. And then, you know, somewhere down here in like the text, you know, I got a sentence here, and then I want that sentence to automatically have some of the information here for me. Don't need that. And that's just going to kind of all do that, push send V, and then return because we're done. And then, you know, whenever I'm onto the next Excel file, I'm ready to just push F1 again and have it continue. All right, let's go ahead and see that one in action here. All right, so here's our sample data. So we got column A, which is just kind of the ID name of it, occupant's name, appoint number. This is more of the description field. But here's the real information we're really looking for right here. So with the code, I have it so I have that select where it's going to be 1. So I can have my mouse anywhere I want, and it's going to automatically go exactly where it needs. It's then going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as it counts down, grabbing each data, assigning it to a new variable. Once that runs, you'll see Outlook open and inject all this data. So let's go ahead and run that there. So I'm going to go ahead and push F1. So it's going to run through the data pretty quickly, grabbing it all. Hit that blank cell, and boom, there is our new email. And it just went ahead, filled out the subject line, and we got the template in there with all that data in there. You know, it got the date there at the end of the sentence, a bunch of the data up there. If you're just sending this email over and over again to the same person, you could always add a send with that
information in there before that tab down twice right there. But I'm just assuming you're probably with each Excel file going to be sending this to someone different. So I'm just leaving that blank. That's the only part you're really going to have to manually send or type in before you press that send. Alrighty. If you guys have any questions, definitely hit me up in the comments. I can expand on this, or eventually I'll probably make a third comms with Excel, HK sort of thing. So definitely let me know what you guys think, and hit that bell notification. I am sending out 2 to 3 videos every week, and please help that like button out today. Alright guys, thank you so much. See you later.